Yeah. Okay, so today is November the 18th, and starting out, we are doing properties. The properties are not hard. All it is memorizing the different ones. Listen, for right now, we do what I call we do the easy ones. And then as the days, years really go on, when you get into higher grades, they add more to it. Now, starting out, all a property is, I'm going to make it look all pretty. Okay. So it's fifth period. Okay. All a property is just kind of like a statement or statements that are true for every number. Okay. Meaning, it doesn't matter if you're using a number in the hundreds or a number in the tens. Okay? It's got to be true for every number. Okay? One example is like adding 2 plus 3 and 3 plus 2. Okay? If I changed it to like 4 plus 5 and 5 plus 4, they're a property because it doesn't matter what two numbers. If you just flip-flop them and you add, you get the same answer. Yes?
I can't write.
I'll give you a sheet afterwards then. You do a little bit of it then. Okay, so that's just what a property is.
Sorry.
Okay, the first one is commutative. If you think about a community, honestly, kind of like TMS, I can rotate you guys in and out of this room. But if we all go to like a big pep rally, we're still a community. Like, we're still TMS. And it doesn't matter who walks in here, we're still TMS. The commutative property, I'm having a moment. Okay. The commutative property has of addition or of multiplication. Okay. What it means is it allows the numbers to move. Okay. The numbers to move. So we can move the numbers around, but honestly, we're going to get the same answer whichever way we move them. It works with addition or multiplication only. Okay? Now, examples are what makes or breaks you right here. I need you to write the examples. They're going to help you in a few minutes. Okay, so an example of commutative property is me saying something like 7 plus 9 is equal to 9 plus 7. If I flip-flop them or flip-flop them, I get 16, right? I get the same answer. Okay? I could do multiplication. So I could do something like 2 times 3 is the same as 3 times 2. Okay? Now, right now, it almost seems silly that I'm even talking about this in a 6th grade classroom. But this will come in handy as you move into more variables and algebra. Okay? So I am going to show you like an example with some variables. So like if I change my 7 to an A plus a B for 9, honestly, it'd be the same thing as B plus A. I'm just throwing some variables in. Same thing here. Maybe I make it x times y. Well, it'd be the same as y times x. So commutative property, you can move them around. You get the same equals. I will give you a hint. Notice there's no parentheses in the math problem. Okay? And you only see add or multiply. Okay, everybody good so far? Okay. The next one is called associative property. Associative property, if you think about associating with people, we associate with different groups, but we don't ever really change. It doesn't matter if I'm in band class hanging out with them or if I'm in math class hanging out with them. I am still the same person. Okay, it can be of addition or it can be of multiplication. This is the key to it. It allows grouping symbols to move, meaning parentheses. I want you to think about that. Parentheses moving around. Parentheses. The key is with associative property. It's kind of like, I think of a company like, I associate with these people and then I associate with these people, but we don't change. If it helps, I just keep putting parentheses around like everything in this, because like associative has to have parentheses. Has to. If you don't see parentheses, it can't be associative property. Okay, so here's an example. Okay, 9 plus 3, well, 9 plus parentheses 3 plus 4 is the same as saying 9 plus 3 plus 4. All we did was move the parentheses here to here. But you would get the same exact answer. So here, if I did this first, I get 7 plus 9 would be 16. Here, if I did this first, I'd get 12 plus 4, I get 16. It doesn't matter who you're associating with, moving around, parentheses, you're getting the same answer, okay? To give you one with variables or letters, you could do this. You could say something like A plus B plus C is the same as A plus B plus C. They will try to trick you in there. They might throw in a division sign. They might throw in a multiply sign. But as you see, they're only add or multiply. I mean, not multiply, subtract. You also want to check. Make sure they got the same numbers. Like on that one, it has a 9, 3, and a 4. Make sure the other side has a 9, 3, and a 4. Because if it has a 9, 3, and a 5, it's wrong. You'll see what I'm talking about. There's just little ways to kind of trick you. Okay, now the next two are super easy. Okay, identity of addition. I just want you to think about it. If you add, what is it, the only thing you can add to a number and it stays the same?
0.
0. I want you to think about that. So 9 plus 0 is 9. Even if I switch it and say 0 plus 2 is 2, whatever you do with a 0. So, identity of addition. It means adding 0. If they're not doing something with a 0, you shouldn't be writing identity of addition. Okay. Some examples. Something like 13 plus 0 is 13. Or you could swap it with a variable. 0 plus A is A. I want you to notice something. I know I keep highlighting stuff, but it'll help you if you'll catch these tricks. It has to be adding, and it has to be 0 to be identity of addition. It's that easy. You're just kind of looking for those tricks. Okay. The next one, identity of multiplication. So how do you keep your identity with multiplication?
1.
Times 1.
Times 1. You got it. So, multiplied by 1. So if you think about it, like 7 times 1 is 7. Or like A times 1 is A. Okay, it's got to be multiplied, and it can only be by 1 to be identity of multiplication. So those are the 4 properties. If you think about it, 1 has to have a 1 and multiplication. 1's got to have a plus and a 0. 1's got to have parentheses. and then the other one doesn't, but the numbers are just mixed up. Okay? Mm-hmm.
On the adding one,
Mhm.
you put 0 plus A equals A.
That's right. Anything plus 0 is the other thing, right?
But it's 13, right? I mean, you said
No,
13.
no. Starting out, 13 plus 0 is 13. But 0 plus A is A. They're just different examples. Here's the key. Like right now, you're not going to see a ton of variables. You'll see some. These really matter when you get super long order of operations problems in 7th and 8th grade. It all starts to come together. Okay? So, here we go. The first one. All we're doing here is giving it an identity. Give me identify the property. They just want a name. They just want a name. So look, it's got a bunch of parentheses. It's got pluses. It's got the same numbers, so it is associative property. And you have to put, and you got to write the whole thing. Associative property, and then you write of either addition or multiplication. This one is addition. So you write associative property and spell it all out and write it out. If I can do it 7 times today, you can do it once. Okay, associative property of addition. Next one is
Identity of addition.
addition. You got it. Identity. This is why I said the notes are going to be helpful. If you don't have the notes, look, and all you're doing is matching. For this one, I see plus 0. So I look up here and it says plus 0. That's all I'm doing. Where am I at? That one. Plus 0. So I'm matching it up with adding 0. Okay, so this one, I see a bunch of parentheses. I make sure everything's the same, but it is, because of all the parentheses and the grouping symbols, it has to be that one. Okay. Now slow down. Identity of multiplication has to have a 1. So what is this one? Commutative. Yes. There's no 1 involved, and they're all swapped around. So commutative property of multiplication. Okay. And then yes, I see the key here is times 1. So times 1, multiplication. Make sure it says equals n and not equals 1. You'll see why in just a little bit. They're going to try to do some tricking stuff. So okay. So that first set was just identifying the properties. Notice the directions. That's just list which one it goes with. Okay. The second one, the second set here is different. And this is more like what we do. Okay. On this set, right here where I'm talking about. Okay. We have to determine whether the two expressions are equivalent. So we're going to figure out if they're equal, yes or no. Then, if they are, we're going to tell a property. If they're not, we're going to explain why it didn't work. Okay, so if you will kind of get with me on how to do this in the order, it'll get easy, it gets easier. So, what I do first is, I look at, like, number 1 right here. It says 64 plus 0, and it says 64. So, what is 64 plus 0?
64.
What's 64?
64.
Right, so are they equal?
Yes.
So I write yes. Okay. Then I go up and I look for my property. Identity of addition. Addition. There's an addition sign. Okay. Okay, but you've got to check every one and make sure that they are equal. Okay, so that's the first one. Everybody good on that one? Okay. Number 2. So we first got to check the math. 8 divided by 2 is 4. 2 divided by 8 is 2 divided by 8. 8 into 20. How many 8s are in 20?
5. 2. No.
Okay, so are they equal? No. Okay. Now, the next thing is figuring out which property do you think they're trying to do?
Multiplication, division, identity.
Okay. Well, they're not trying to do the identity one because it's not times 1. So go up. They're trying to do commutative, but commutative does not have what? Division. That's right. So you have to explain why it's wrong. So commutative does not use division. Some of them they're going to try to give you subtraction. You're just looking. You're trying to figure out what is it they did wrong. And you explain it. Okay. 46 plus 15. 15 plus 46. Are they equal? Yes. And then what property? Commutative property of addition. And it takes some writing, guys. You kind of just have to, I guess you'd say, deal with it. I don't know. Okay, look at number 4. So check your numbers. 8, 27, 52. 8, 27, 52. Parentheses, pluses, yes. Associative property of addition. No, be careful. They're trying to trick you. 0 plus 32 should be 32. Okay, so this one's a no. What property? Identity of addition. Okay, but the way you explain... One second. Identity of addition. What you can do is put the math problem. So what you can do is put 0 plus 32, but put equals 32. Put the right answer. That way we know, like, you're telling me why, because you know that the answer should be 32. And these people put a 0. So It's, you got to explain it somehow. That's going to be the weird part about grading it. All of our descriptions might be different. So, this one? Okay, is it going to equal though? Think about this one. This would be 2 minus 5 would be negative 3. This would be 2. 9 minus 7 would be 2. 9 minus 2 would be 7. They're trying to do associative property, but what?
Not the same.
Doesn't work with subtraction. So, it wouldn't be equal because this would be a 2. 2 minus 5 would be negative 3. This would be 2, but 9 minus 2 is 7. So they're not going to work because they're subtraction. Guys, these won't work with subtraction or division. They won't work. And if you get confused on how to word them, like when you go to explain something, look back at these examples. That's why they're here. Okay? There's not many other tricks we can do. Pretty much these are it. Okay? Now, you need this to do the back. Okay? You have to. Without this, you can't do it. Okay. Now, if you will start out by making an X through this section at the bottom.
Thank you.
Just this part. Okay? At the bottom. Okay, now the top section. What you're doing is, we are writing what we just did. Yes or no? Property, does it work?
So writing this down.
Yep, just like the very bottom. So here we go. I'll do a few with you.
Thank you.
Okay, so it even says, determine whether the two expressions are equivalent. If so, tell what property. If not, tell why. Okay, so starting out, I see some parentheses. I see they moved and it's multiplying.
It's as property multiplication. Whatever that is.
Associative property of multiplication. So number 2, 6 plus 3 and 3 plus 6. Yes. Okay. Commutative property of addition. And I do have to take off points if you don't put that. Like if you don't put the of addition or of multiplication.
Since you do have to put up.
Yeah? Third one. I got parentheses. I got the same numbers.
It don't work.
No. Trying to do associative does not work with subtraction. Oh yeah, I have missed that one a few times. Okay, I'm going to leave you with the rest of these. You have through 12. You have plenty of time. Most of the kids have finished it in class that have sat here and really tried. Graded papers kind of going home as the time goes on. One thing, I'm going to try to put out the Quizlet. No, not Quizlet. Yeah. Yeah, study vocab with for Friday. So be looking for it. You've got 2 tests on Friday. One's a unit, and then one is the fraction to decimal. So, yes, that's what I'm going to do now.